Imagine. It is a deep night. The sky is completely silent, a soft breeze is blowing, and on the ground there is a kind of peace that makes the storm inside even more visible. And in this very night, a man, Jacob, stands on the verge of one of the most difficult moments of his life. This is not just a journey, it is the beginning of a battle within him. Jacob had been traveling all day. Only one thought was circling in his mind. His brother. The same brother he had deceived years ago and then run away from. The same brother whose anger had probably not cooled even now. With every step, his fear kept growing. What would happen when they faced each other? Would his brother forgive him or take revenge? Night falls, and from here the story takes a strange turn. Jacob gets up and gathers his wives, his servants, and his children. This was no ordinary movement. It was planning, a strategy. He leads them across the river. At the ford of Jabbok, darkness, the cold air, the soft sound of water. Everything together creates an intense scene. You can feel that this is not just a physical crossing, it is an emotional crossing as well. Jacob sends his family ahead first. Why? Because inside him there is fear, and also a sense of responsibility. Perhaps he wants that if something bad happens, his loved ones remain safe. Or perhaps he is preparing himself, alone, for what is about to come. Then he sends all his possessions across the river as well. Everything he has. Wealth, belongings, all of it. Strange, isn't it? When a person is most afraid, they try to control everything. Jacob is doing the same, arranging everything, as if planning will save him. And then everything comes to an end. The people are gone. The voices are gone. The movement is gone. Now there is only Jacob and his solitude. Jacob was left alone. This sentence is small, but within it lies the whole story. Because sometimes, in the biggest moments of life, a person has to be alone. No family, no friends, no wealth. Just you and your inner self. Imagine that moment. Jacob stands in the darkness of the night. His heart is beating fast. In his mind, old memories are flashing. The day he deceived his brother, the moment he left home, the years he spent running. Everything is appearing before him like a film. And now, there is no place left to run. These first 3 verses teach us a profound truth, that sometimes God brings us into solitude, not because he is abandoning us, but because he wants us to face ourselves, our fears, our past. Jacob sent everyone ahead, but he could not leave his inner questions behind. And perhaps this is the moment where the real story begins. The night has grown even deeper. The air is cold, and a silence has settled over the ground that makes the noise inside a person even louder. Jacob stands alone, but in reality, he is not alone. Within him stand his past, his mistakes, his fears, all with him. And then suddenly, someone comes. No sound, no identity, just a presence. Suddenly, a man begins to wrestle with him. This is no ordinary encounter. No introduction, no conversation. Straight into struggle, straight into confrontation. Imagine that moment. The darkness of the night, the scent of the earth, the cold air, and 2 shadows grappling on the ground. Jacob cannot even understand what is happening. Who is this? An enemy? A robber? Or something else? But one thing is clear. This fight is not going to stop. This wrestling is not just of the body, it is of the soul as well. Jacob is fighting with all his strength. His body is already exhausted. The fatigue of the journey is still within him. Yet he refuses to give up. Why? Because perhaps within him lies the burden of years. Everything he never faced is now pouring out in this one fight. Have you ever felt it? When life brings you to a point where you cannot run, then you fight, no matter who stands in front of you. This fight continues throughout the night. No break, no pause, only struggle. And then something strange happens. That person, whoever he is, sees that he is not overpowering Jacob. This line is very deep, think about it. An ordinary man, and in front of him a being that does not seem human. Yet Jacob is not losing. What does this mean? It means that Jacob is not just fighting with his body, he is fighting with his entire being. When a person stands with their whole soul, they become very strong, stronger than they themselves realize. Then that person touches Jacob's hip, and his joint is thrown out of place. In a moment, Jacob's strength weakens. His body is no longer as strong as before. This is a very symbolic moment. Sometimes, when we are fighting with all our strength, it is a small touch, a small strike that breaks us. God shows us that we are strong, but not completely self-sufficient. Jacob is now wounded. Imagine his pain. His body is breaking, his breath is heavy, sweat, dust, exhaustion, and yet he does not let go. This is the most powerful moment. Most people would give up here. They would say, "That's it, I can't go on." But Jacob, he refuses to let go. He holds on to that person. Why? Because now this is no longer just a fight. It has become something else. Perhaps deep inside, Jacob is beginning to realize that this is no ordinary encounter. This is no ordinary man. This is something divine, something that has come to change his life. And here, a profound truth emerges. Sometimes God does not fight us. He allows us to fight, so that we can see our true selves, so that we can understand who we are and what we truly need. Jacob's body has grown weak, but his grip is becoming stronger. This is the paradox. When he was strong, he was only fighting. When he became weak, he held on. And often in life, it is the same. When everything is going well, we try to control things. But when we begin to break, that is when we truly hold on to God, to hope, to mercy. The night is now in its final watch. The darkness is slowly fading. Morning is near. But Jacob still does not let go of that person. Wounded, exhausted, but determined. This fight is not just tiring him, it is transforming him. And now the story has reached a point where everything is about to shift, where it is no longer just about struggle, but about a change of identity. But that is the next part. The night is in its final moments. The color of the sky is slowly changing. The deep black is beginning to dissolve into a soft blue light. But on the ground, Jacob is still in the same state. Wounded, exhausted, yet his grip is still firm. His body is in pain. Every movement has become a struggle. And still, he does not let go. Then that person speaks. "Let me go, for the morning is breaking." These words are simple, but they carry a strange weight, as if a moment is being completed, as if this encounter is reaching its end. But Jacob's response is even more powerful. "I will not let you go unless you bless me." Think about this. This is the moment where everything becomes clear. Jacob is no longer just fighting. Now he is asking. Now he is recognizing that the one he is wrestling with is the very one who holds the answer to what he needs. This shift is very deep. Before, he was trying to control, planning, strategy, trying to manage everything. Then he was fighting, with his own strength. But now, he's close to surrender. Yet this is not a surrender of weakness. It is a surrender of desperate faith. I will not let you go. There is stubbornness in it, but there is also belief. Have you ever faced such a moment? When you are exhausted, broken, yet you still say, "No, I will not leave empty-handed." This is that moment. Jacob now understands that this encounter is the turning point of his life. If he lets go now, everything may remain the same as before, but if he holds on, something new can be born. Then that person asks him a question. "What is your name?" A strange question, isn't it? After such a great struggle, after such an intense night, this simple question, "What is your name?" But in reality, it is not simple. Because in those times, a name was not just an identity. It meant your story, your nature, your past. And Jacob itself carried a meaning, one who grasps and overtakes, one who wins through deception. This name was the summary of his entire life. When he says, "My name is Jacob," he is not just stating his name. He is accepting his story. He is saying, "Yes, I am the one who deceived, who ran, who manipulated." This is a confession. And here, another deep truth emerges. Transformation does not begin until a person accepts their true self. Jacob is no longer running, not from his brother, not from his past, not from himself. He stands firm and says, "This is who I am." And perhaps that is why he does not let go of that person, because he knows that from here he will either return the same as before, or he will emerge as a new man. His grip, his pain, his confession, all together are creating an intensity that comes only in the rarest moments of life. Morning is near. The light is increasing, and Jacob is still holding on. Now the fight is about to end, but the real story is just about to begin. The light of the morning has now fully spread. The darkness that had covered the night is slowly retreating. But what is happening within Jacob is now reaching its peak. He has spoken his name. Jacob, meaning the one who grasps and gets ahead, who controls, who tries to win through his own schemes. And then that person says, "Your name will no longer be Jacob, but Israel." This is not just a change of name. This is a change of identity. Israel, meaning one who has struggled with God and prevailed, or one who wrestles with God and endures. Think about how deep this is. Before, his identity was his cleverness. Now his identity is his struggle. Before, he controlled people. Now he stands clinging to God. This is a complete shift of life. Sometimes God breaks our old identity so that he can give us a new one. But that new identity does not come without struggle. Jacob fought all night. His body was wounded. His ego was broken. He accepted his true self. And now he is receiving a new name. This is not a reward. This is a rebirth. Then that person says something even deeper. Because you have struggled with God and with humans, and have prevailed. Here, prevailing does not mean that Jacob defeated God. No, rather it means that he endured. He did not run away. Even when broken, he did not let go. That was the real victory. In life too, true victory is not that we control everything, but that we stand firm in the face of difficulty. In his old life, Jacob tried to avoid everything, but on this night, for the first time, he faced it. And that is why he was changed. No longer Jacob, but Israel. A new name, a new story. But the story does not end here. Jacob, or now Israel, asks a question. "Tell me your name." This is a very interesting moment. He struggled all night. Now he senses who he is dealing with. He wants to know. Who is this? What is his true identity? But the answer is not given directly. That person says, "Why do you ask my name?" as if to say, "It is not necessary for you to fully understand me. What matters is that you understand what you have gone through." Sometimes we try to define God. We want everything to be clear, everything to be explained, but to fully understand God is beyond human capacity. But then, he blesses Jacob. This is what Jacob wanted from the very beginning. And how strange it is. He receives that blessing when he is broken, when he has let go of his old identity, when he has released control and is simply holding on. This is a divine pattern. When we are strong, we think we need no one. But when we break, that is when we truly receive. Jacob began the night with fear, with planning, with control. And now he ends it with blessing, with a new identity. And after an encounter that has changed him forever, morning has come. The light is falling upon him. But he is no longer the same man he was at night. His name has changed. His thinking has changed. And most importantly, his relationship with God has changed. Now the next step is to face his greatest fear with this new identity, his brother. But now he is not alone, and he is no longer the same as before. The morning sun rises fully now. Its light touches the earth with warmth and clarity, scattering the shadows that had clung to the night. But Jacob, he is no longer defined by darkness or fear. The night has passed, but the struggle remains alive within him, not as pain, but as proof. Proof of endurance, proof of faith, proof of transformation. He stands there, wounded, exhausted, but unbroken. His body bears the marks of the fight. His hips sore, his limbs weary, yet his soul is strengthened. He has wrestled, he has struggled, and he has prevailed, not because he controlled everything or defeated his opponent by force, but because he held on, because he refused to let go. And in that holding on, something extraordinary has happened. Jacob has faced himself. All his fear, all his past, all his mistakes, and he has confronted God in the rawest, most intimate way. This is the essence of life, that when we come face to face with the forces we cannot control, whether fear, loss, anger, or our own weakness, it is not the avoidance, the planning, or the strength of our arms that saves us. It is the courage to stand firm, to struggle honestly, and to open ourselves to the unseen hand of God. Through this encounter, Jacob's identity is transformed. He is no longer the man who relied on cleverness, who schemed and manipulated to get ahead. He is Israel, one who struggles with God and endures. A man who has learned that strength is not measured by control, but by persistence. That victory is not in defeating others, but in embracing the trial and letting it refine the soul. And here lies the universal truth of this story. We all have nights like Jacob's. Nights when fear seems to have the upper hand, when we are alone with our doubts, when the weight of our past and our mistakes presses on us. And in those nights, the struggle is not against someone else. It is against ourselves, against what we think we are, against what we have tried to control. But God meets us in those moments, not always in the form we expect, not always in comfort, but in challenge. He meets us in the wrestling, in the struggle, in the fight that leaves us broken and exhausted. And through that struggle, He reshapes us, renews us, and gives us a new name, a new purpose, and a new way forward. Jacob held on, and in holding on he received a blessing far greater than anything he could have imagined, the blessing of transformation. He stepped into mourning not as the same man who trembled at the thought of facing his brother, not as the man who ran from fear, but as a man strengthened by the encounter. a man who knew the power of persistence, the depth of faith, and the reality that God is present even in the moments that seem darkest. And so, Jacob moves forward. With Israel in his heart, a new identity etched into his being, he faces his next challenge: reconciliation, return, and the life that awaits beyond the night. But this time, he is not alone. He carries with him the knowledge that struggle is not a curse but a pathway to strength. That wrestling with life, with fear, and with God is not something to escape from, but something to embrace. Let this story remain with us, that the most profound transformations often come after the longest struggles, that the blessing we seek may come only when we refuse to let go, even when all seems lost. That God's presence is most evident not in the ease of life, but in the nights of wrestling, when the fight is fiercest and our hearts are raw. Jacob's night was long. His body was broken, his mind anxious, his soul tested. But by dawn, he had emerged with a new name, a new story, and a new strength. And in that, there is hope for all who struggle. That no night is too dark, no fear too great, and no past too heavy for the God who meets us in the wrestling and makes us new. Hold on, persist, wrestle, and when morning comes, you may find yourself transformed as Jacob did, not merely victorious over the night, but victorious in life.